Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino is doing an entire complete Marvel Cinematic Universe tier list over the past 9 months. I don't even know how long it's been. It took a long time. But over the past year, I went on Disney Plus and I watched every single Marvel Cinematic Universe complete timeline thing from their complete timeline category on there in order. And I just very recently got to the very end. It started with Captain America, the First Avenger, and it ended with Agatha All Along as the most recent thing that they've done. So everything in between there I have seen, with the exception of like 2 things that I thought were small and unimportant that we'll get to. But other than that, we're going to talk about all of them, dude. We got the whole tier list here. S, A, B, C, D, F. We do have the haven't seen for those 2. And then these are just, I put these in here because they listed the same show multiple times for each season that it had. So I just put those in here because looking at these, I don't know which season they're even referring to. I'm just going to talk about the whole show as a singular thing when we get there. I should have taken notes when I started this because the first, third of some of this stuff is a little muddy to me because I did see it 9 months ago. But I will try to be as accurate as possible here. But let's just get it started, dude. Off the frickin' dome. I'm not going to do them in MCU order because they're not ordered like that. I'm going to do them in MCU order. Let me redo this for a sec. Alright, now these are all roughly in the timeline order. So, starting with Captain America, the First Avenger, the very first movie in the MCU timeline. I think this first Captain America is pretty good. I think Captain America as a hero is kind of whatever, basic. I'm not very invested in him. But he does have some of the most solid intrigue going on around him, usually. Not so much in this movie, but in the other ones that he's in, like Civil War and The Winter Soldier. Captain America himself is meh. This movie is fine. It's pretty milquetoasty. I don't really have anything super positive or super negative to say about it. I think this would be the quintessential, maybe standard to judge all other Marvel stuff against, because this is about as average as it gets. And I think that that's fine. Next we have Captain Marvel. Controversial Marvel movie, or at least, it has some of the stuff, we'll have, the discourse on Twitter going up to it, oh, I don't like how I think this is gonna be, how I think they're gonna do this. Or they'll hyperfixate on, a scene or 2 of dialogue and be like, this colors my entire experience watching the thing. I didn't really do that. I think Captain Marvel is also pretty okay. I was going into it thinking that it was gonna be bad, because I'd seen a lot of people say it was bad. Or just a lot of people complaining about it in general. I didn't really have that experience. I thought it was just mildly decent. As good as Captain America or as bad as Captain America, it was kind of the same. I would say that this was also probably C tier, Captain Marvel. Next up we have Iron Man. Dude, the first Iron Man, this is really what started the MCU, right? They were doing stuff before this, but this is really where it was oh, this is now gonna be established, because they got Robert Downey Jr. to be the best Iron Man anyone's ever seen. They'll never replace him, and you can tell because they have that one guy who plays Iron Man in all the video games now, and he's so bad I hate him. It could just be the writing, but I don't like the line delivery at all of the Iron Man that's in Marvel Midnight Suns or Marvel Rivals that's come out recently. The first Iron Man is a little better than Captain America. I would give that B tier. It's not like this movie's insane or anything. It's pretty good. I think it is more entertaining. You know what? I'm just now remembering. I'm remembering how this starts. The first 5 minutes of this movie are some of the most iconic, I think, in Marvel, actually. Entirely. The whole driving in the Humvee in the desert and just riffing with the soldiers, and then boom, explosions, gets kidnapped. The way that this starts is, when I was watching it, I was oh, dude, this is it's I'm watching a classic. That's actually how it felt. So I gotta move Iron Man up to A tier. I don't know what I was thinking. This is why I can't, it's been too long since I saw it. I gotta watch the whole series again. But yeah, Iron Man's gotta be A tier, for sure. Iron Man 2, people usually say that this one is worse. Yeah, this is, I mean, this is the one with the Mandalorian or whatever. What's the dude's name? The Mandarin? Yeah. Yeah, it's the Mickey Rourke guy who has the whips. I think that this movie is... it's fine. It's probably like, I think that's like back down to C tier. I don't think it's bad by any means. You know, you've got Sam Rockwell playing a lovable, just like worst kind of capitalist. Some pretty good characters all around. It is like, this is the movie where like they recasted the War Machine, or they recast the guy that was gonna be War Machine. And they will do that, by the way. They will recast. They recasted the frickin' Hulk, okay? So, like, there's nothing that they won't do, although they chose not to do some of them sometimes. We'll get to that. I think Iron Man 2 is fine. It's fine. There's not very many movies or shows that I think are garbage. There's only like one or two that I have even like mostly negative things to say about. All right, then we have the Hulk. I didn't even know that this was in the MCU when I got on there, because I got on there and then freaking Edward Norton is playing the Hulk. I'm like, where's Mark Ruffalo, dude? I didn't know that you started this. I didn't know this was canon as a result of that. But it totally is. And the Edward Norton Hulk movie, which I had never seen before, was actually pretty solidly good. Like, you can tell that it's an older movie. It might be the oldest movie in the timeline. It probably definitely is, right? Because this came out in, like, 2007 or something like that. Even though it's an older movie, like, it's still very enjoyable to watch. I liked the backstory. I like how they connect everything. And the dude who plays Abomination in this comes back and reprises his role later on in, like, She-Hulk and stuff. So there is... You can see the connective tissue when you watch this movie. Next we have Thor. You gotta get all the, like, Avengers dudes as single movies out of the way so you can do the Avengers, so Thor is the last one that they did. Early Thor versus late Thor, there's a case to be made about how he was a better character beforehand because he used to actually lean into more of the, like, old god thing, where he would actually speak like Thor, and he wouldn't know people's customs, and he would, you know, like, say things that are funny before that. Like when he's drinking with the girls and he, like, downs a beer and just smashes the glass on the ground like, another! Like, when he was, like, culture clashing with Earth, I thought that was fun. He doesn't do that anymore because he's acclimated. And his people even live on Earth now, thanks to New Zealand. I would give that probably B tier as well. Then we have the Avengers. Dude, I've seen some dissenters. People are like, the first Avengers isn't bad, or isn't very good. I have to imagine that these people did not see the movie in theaters when it came out, which I did. And even when I went back and watched it, I was like, ooh, dude, I remember. Like, the nostalgia was there. I remember this was like a you had to be there kind of thing. When they were showing all 5 of the Avengers, or 6, however many there are in this movie, when they had them all, like standing on top of the car and, like, in a circle, fighting dudes and doing all their stuff. The battle for New York is hype. Alright, that really set the stage for what the MCU was going to be later on. It got us going in this upward mobility direction. And it really made stuff look good and seem like it was going to continue to be good. Which it did for a long time. It continued to be good. And even recently, like, modernly, some of the stuff is still good. There's more misses than hits recently, but the hits still come when they come. But I would give the first Avengers movie in A tier. It has that same wow factor that Iron Man does, but also if you do rewatch it, there's less action in it than I remembered that there was. Like, there's more downtime in this movie than I remember, but I still think you've got those classic lines like, we have a Hulk, and when Hulk, like, smashes Loki on the ground, puny god. Like, those moments are going to be ingrained in our Marvel psyche forever. We're never going to forget that stuff. Next up is Thor Dark World. Might be the worst Thor movie. I'm trying to... This is the one where she gets infected with, like, the dark genetic virus bullshit. And then the enemies are just nondescript dark elves. Like, the villain doesn't even exist. There is no villain. It's just, like, a guy. Or a couple of dudes who... It's like nameless generals are the villain of this game. Or of this movie. This might be one of the most forgettable movies I've seen. So I think it makes sense for this to be in, like, D tier. It's not F tier. But Dark World is D tier. I think this is a movie that you could watch, and then a month later you'll have no idea what happened. Alright, then we have Iron Man 3. Let's see, Iron Man 3 was against... There was the ugly dude who turned into, like, a hot dude, but still kind of an ugly dude. And then he was doing, like, his brain stuff, and... yeah... He was making people explode and shit like that. And then Iron Man, and then Gwyneth Paltrow turns into, like, a heated up super soldier. And then they just never And I think she just left the MCU after that. Or no, she came back for like a Spider-Man movie, I think, even if it was just for a second. But eventually they just did a thing where Gwyneth Paltrow was like, "I'm divorcing you, Tony. I can't do this anymore." Oh, it was after Avengers or the Thanos stuff of after Endgame, right? And then she was just like, "Peace. I don't want to be a part of Marvel Universe anymore." But yeah, Iron Man 3 was a good movie. There's less to latch onto, I think, but it's at least as good as 2, maybe in between them. Maybe you go Iron Man A, Iron Man 2C, and Iron Man 3B. Then we have Captain America, The Winter Soldier. This is the one where Nick Fury gets shot, right? And they have to do all this subterfuge of like, oh, like, of like the main thing is Hydra like trying to take over, and they have to like fight against Hydra. Like, this is that one, right? Isn't it? I think it is. If so, this is one of the better Captain America movies. I really like the S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. I like when they focus on the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the inner workings of that organization and their fight against Hydra and stuff. I think that is compelling media, and they usually use Captain America as the vehicle to do it because he doesn't have very much else going on. So I would say that this was like an A-tier movie. The Winter Soldier, this was a good one. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy. Great movie, dude. Guardians of the Galaxy is a fantastic franchise. It has a dip in the second one, I would say. But the first one is great, and then we'll get to what I think about the third one. But the first Guardians of the Galaxy, very good. Aces, good comedy. Like, this is... If you want to go back and watch, like, oh, everyone complains about Marvel being so quippy, and, oh, every character has to tell a joke every 5 seconds. Well, this is back when the jokes were good. But yeah, in line with that, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, definitely worse, but Volume 2 in general is just meh, it's fine. Okay, then we have I Am Groot. I will be honest, I did not watch this because I did not think it would be even slightly important. It's like Baby Yoda to me. It's like, I don't care. I don't care about this meme. So I didn't watch I Am Groot, Season 1 or 2. I don't know if anything important happened there. I have to assume that it didn't. It's just like, you watch the next thing, and then Groot is like a teenager again. I'll take that at face value. I don't really need to see how he got there. Next up we have Daredevil. Dude, we're gonna get into like the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Punisher, Iron Fist stuff. Dude, this is like peak Marvel to me. They're ranked differently amongst each other, but like the tone of these shows is so good, and I wish Marvel would do that again. They sort of tried to do it like with Echo, I guess, because Echo is also in like the sort of Daredevil-ish universe with with Wilson Fisk and stuff. But I feel like they just don't hit it anymore. And but I want to go back to this era of Marvel because I think that, and they're going to with Daredevil Born Again, presumably. Like that's, I hope that they can get back to this sort of grittiness to it, and I hope they don't because Daredevil showed up on She-Hulk and just embarrassed himself. It wasn't even his fault. It was just the fact that him being on a show that's that dumb, just like it just debased him as a character. So I hope that Daredevil Born Again goes back to the more like, oh, you know, cool Daredevil instead. It's like, it felt like he was guest hosting on the Sesame Street or something when he went to that show. But dude, Daredevil, great show, very gritty. Love his powers. He's blind and he can see, but he's like a ninja. He does hella stuff. I like it. I like that he gets... The thing with the characters in these universes is that they lose a lot. Like, they get the shit kicked out of them, and they will come back at it. They rise above the challenge. I think Daredevil is an A, and this goes for all 3 seasons. I'm just kind of grouping them all together. So I think that's good. Conversely, you have Jessica Jones, where I think the first season of Jessica Jones is really good. I love Kilgrave. I think it would have been the thing that they do, like, sort of towards the end of the series, where it's almost like she's gonna, like, reform him and try and make him use his powers for good. I felt like that arc could have actually been explored more deeply, but instead they decide to just, you know, like, still kill him because he's so evil and stuff. But I felt like the part where he kind of wanted that redemption arc a little bit just to be closer to Jessica, like, I thought that was kind of cute. And it would have been cool to have, like, he would have been very useful Like, you have a guy like that on your team who can just tell people to do whatever they want, whatever he wants them to do. Very useful, as they showed. He diffused a hostage situation because he just told the hostage guy, hey, let them go. Now put your gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. And it just goes like, no, don't do that. And he was like, what? I thought that was the right thing to do. But yeah, David Tennant does a great job as Kilgrave. He's perfectly slimy and hateable, but with a touch of like, oh, you're kind of rooting for him a little bit, just towards the end. Like, the show decides that he can't have any redemption, but I could have seen it be possible. But then season 2 is kind of ass. Season 2 is the one with her super mom, right? Yeah. That one is kind of whatever. There's not like a whole lot of important stuff going on there. It's nothing to write home about. And then season 3, where Trish gets her powers, and they do such a bad job of explaining to you that she even has superpowers in the first like 4 or 5 episodes, because all they ever show her doing is like she's on a kid's playground and she's doing the monkey bars kind of fast. Like, that's how they thought that would communicate the fact that, oh, she has powers now. She like runs up a wall and does a backflip. Wow, that's amazing. Can you tell that she's a superhero? Like, no. You gotta do... And then she gets shoved out a window and lives, and that's like 4 or 5 episodes in, and that's when you're like, oh, okay, she really has powers. They're not just putting one over on me. But yeah, her powers are basically just like, she is mildly athletic, but also she can jump and land without breaking her kneecaps. So I thought the whole season 3 thing was kind of terrible. It was good that she was against like a regular serial killer. It was kind of cool to have the villain of a Marvel show be just like a normal guy who doesn't have powers. I thought that part was interesting. But yeah, they talk about... It's funny though, they in the marketing for Agatha all along, the actors on that show are like, we made the gayest thing like of all time. Like, we're so proud of the fact that everything we put in this show is gay as fuck. But if you watch Jessica Jones, dude, oh, it's so much gayer. It's so much gayer in Jessica Jones. Like, you guys have a higher bar to clear if you want to match the pure amount of gay that is Jessica Jones. Like, not in a good or bad way, I'm just saying that, like, that's what's happening. Carried by the first season, you don't need to watch season 2 or 3. But I guess I will give it a B tier. Alright, the later we get into the list, the more I'll have to talk about stuff, because I'll actually remember everything that happened in the later ones. Next up, we have Avengers Age of Ultron. There are Ultron haters, dude. I like this movie. I really like Ultron. It's maybe because I'm like a big James Spader fan. That dude kills it as Ultron. He plays himself in every movie, whether he's a giant genocidal robot or a FBI's most wanted dude, or like weird office person, weird guy who replaces Michael Scott in The Office for like 3 episodes. Whatever he's doing, like, he is James Spader, but his personality is so good that you don't care. Some of these other people, like, will talk about Ryan Reynolds always playing himself in every movie, the guy who does Deadpool, and be kind of annoyed by that. And he doesn't have as much depth as James Spader, okay? James Spader can do whatever he wants. I want to see James Spader as James Spader in whatever movie they want to put him in. I thought Ultron was good. Good movie. Introduces Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch becomes... dude, they have to bring Scarlet Witch back. Like, they gotta. Especially after Agatha, with the whole thing that's going on with that. Like, they gotta bring the Scarlet Witch back. She is presumed dead after Multiverse of Madness, after she, like, collapses a tower in on herself, but, like, you could just destroy the Darkhold and I don't think she's dead. But regardless, I think Ultron is probably, like, B tier. It's, like, maybe a little bit less than the Avengers, but B tier, I like Ultron. Then we have Ant-Man. The first Ant-Man movie, I don't know, dude, it's like C tier, I guess. I'm not a big Ant-Man fan. I barely remember what happens in this movie. Ant-Man as a whole, I just don't think is that important. Then we're back in the grittiness with Luke Cage. Of all the shows / movies in Marvel, I need there to be another season of Luke Cage more than anything else that is going on in this entire situation. The way that the end of season 2 of Luke Cage sets him up to be like the next, like, bad boy, like owning the club and like sort of becoming the thing that he was setting out to destroy for so long, sort of creating sort of some animosity with the people that were his friends before. Like, I have to see this through. I have to see this through. You have to make season 3 of Luke Cage. It simply has to happen. Luke Cage is an absolutely fantastic show. Love Luke Cage. That's an easy A tier. Especially the second season, just because I like hearing Jamaicans talk. Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing is very good. Very good. Iron Fist... Iron Fist is all over the place. On one hand, I love Colleen Wing. I love Colleen Wing. She's the only good part of the show at some points. I'm a Colleen Wing fan. Colleen Wing Enjoyer has logged on. She is the best part of that show, like, no cap. But Danny Rand, Iron Fist, he never... Oh yeah, that's the thing that I don't like about Iron Fist. This motherfucker never uses his Iron Fist. He never does it, dude. It's like, his powers are he's the Iron Fist. He spends 99% of the show doing regular ass martial arts that have nothing, there's no Iron Fist. His fist is not glowing while he's punching people for the vast majority of the entire thing. Like, it doesn't happen. It's like if they made a show about Cyclops and he never took off his visor. Like, what's the point? But the choreography for the fights is really good in Iron Fist. I will say that. I think it has some of the best fight choreography of probably any of the Marvel things. And I am a big fan of martial arts stuff, so that's good. But, like, you're the Iron Fist, and your fist is never iron, dude. It's just normal. And then at the end, he's not even the Iron Fist anymore because he gives it to Colleen. I don't know if that's even... Is that even canon or not? Because, like, I know later, thanks to Marvel Rivals, I know that, like, there's a new Iron Fist. Like, his name's Lee something. He used to be Swordmaster, and now he's Iron Fist. And then I don't know what happens to Danny Rand after that. But none of that was in the this actual show. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to say about Iron Fist. What was it? Oh, yeah, dude. In Season 2... where Ward's sister is Joy is evil for no absolute fucking no reason at all. It is the most contrived bullshit I've ever seen in my entire life. There is nothing about Season 1, like, and the actions of the people who take place that would lead anyone to think, like, oh, the natural course of action would be for the sister who we all fought alongside and had to help overthrow their dad, who was clearly evil, and she knows that he was evil. And then she turns around and partners up with Danny's former best friend turned greatest nemesis to kill him. Like, she wants to kill the Iron Fist for what? For saving her? Like, it's so stupid. And they try and explain it, and the explanation is so dumb. She's you still, despite everything, you still killed my father. Shut up. That's the dumbest shit of all time, dude. Maybe the worst plotline of any Marvel property is the fact that Joy Meacham becomes, like, the villain. And then at the very end, she has a change of heart because of fucking course she does. Like, nobody can see that. Something that stupid through to the end without eventually waking up and going, wait a second, I'm so dumb. The other thing I don't like when they use DID as like a narrative tool or like as a plot device, because they have that one mercenary who has dissociative identity disorder, so when certain things happen, she like pops in and out of her different personalities, and it's such an obstacle because this personality knows what's happening and knows how to do stuff, but then this other personality comes in like, what's going on? And it's the same thing they do in Moon Knight. And I watched this before Moon Knight, and this was still tiresome, so watching it at Moon Knight again, I was just like, dude, can you guys just stop? This is not interesting. Like, it's just annoying. It's just annoying that that's an obstacle. But yeah, I guess I would put Iron Fist as, like, C tier. It has some things going for it, but it's also so stupid. But there's enough of a balance to make it better than Thor Dark World, which I think has... I can't remember really any redeeming qualities about it. It's just too forgettable. At least this show is memorable because it sucks. In certain instances. But the things that are good about it are still good. Next we have the Defenders. Everything would point to this being bad. Just taking these 4 characters and having them team up. It turns out to be not terrible. It's not amazing. It's just like... I would say that Defenders is like slightly better. Well, okay, well, let's put them... We're going to order these at the end. But yeah, I would say that Defenders is also C tier. It is cool, like, seeing them all do stuff together. Like Iron Fist having like a really brief battle with Luke Cage is hype because you're like, ooh, if Iron Fist punched Luke Cage, like who would he still be unbreakable because of that, or would it do anything? Next up, we have Captain America: Civil War. All like anyone, I feel like anyone remembers about this movie is the Civil War itself. Is like that one big fight at the airport is the entire movie basically, as far as people are concerned. Where you got Team Iron Man, who's got like Spider-Man and Ant-Man and stuff on his side, and then Team Captain America, who's got Black Widow and other whatever else going on. The Civil War was about whether the Avengers needed government oversight and in order to like prevent certain tragedies from occurring whenever things got out of hand. Like, do they who do they hold themselves accountable to? Like, do they need to be controlled? And I mean, I'm absolutely with Captain America on this. Like, you do not tell you don't put the Avengers under like one government or like, I don't know, because then they become like the instruments of fascism, essentially. Like, not necessarily that, but just like the Avengers need the freedom to choose their targets and their modus operandi without being held to any particular country's standards. Whereas Iron Man's like, no, we need the government telling us what to do. I don't care what it is. And then, like, but you're gonna get sent on jobs that are immoral and that you know are wrong. Because it's the U.S. government or whatever government, like they're gonna be doing that. But so they have that whole conflict and it splits the Avengers team down the middle. I mean, despite all that, I think it's just kind of fine. Like, I wouldn't say it's really... I see this referenced on Twitter a lot, like certain scenes of it. Also the thing where... Because this is the movie where Iron Man learns that... Is this the movie where Iron Man learns that the Winter Soldier killed his parents? No, it had to be this one, because why would Iron Man even be in Captain America: The Winter Soldier? Yeah, so that happened in the Civil War, and that was good. That's a good fight. But I think the Civil War is probably like B tier, I'd say. Alright, this is hard to do in like one sitting, so I went and got some coffee. Let's get back into it. Alright, Black Widow. I like Black Widow's sister. I think she's a cool character. I like her personality and attitude and all that. I think this movie is kind of whatever otherwise. I don't think they do Taskmaster very well. It is funny that the main villain controls all of his widows with, like, his fucking pheromones. Like, oh, if you smell me, you can't kill me. And then in order to overcome that, she breaks her own nose. Which is kind of cool. I mean, she will do what it takes. Black Widow will do what it takes to get the job done, alright? There is no line she won't cross. She is a professional. I feel like it's the first Avengers movie is where you really see that in action, is when she's interrogating Loki and like making him think that he has the upper hand and, oh, I'm so timid. Like, that's another thing that puts the first Avengers movie up pretty well, is their ability to do scenes like that. But I think that this movie is I think the Red Guardian is sort of a trashy character. Like, basically Russian Captain America, but like he's... I mean, you know, he's been in prison for such a long time, and it's just like... He exists basically as a punchline. They don't let him do anything. He doesn't, like, even fit into his old suit. He's basically just the butt of the joke the whole time. It may be that when they do Thunderbolts, because I think he's in that, maybe they'll give him more of a chance to actually prove that he belongs as a character doing anything that deserves any respect at all. But right now, he doesn't get any. Black Widow's okay. Like, you know, it's not like I wasn't harmed by seeing it, and I don't think it's as bad as Thor: Dark World, so I would put it in C tier as well. Then we have Black Panther. Black Panther, dude, the only Marvel thing to be nominated for Best Picture, right? Which is funny because this shit's like not even A tier, to be honest. It's probably B tier, and the only thing that even puts it in B tier is the fact that Killmonger is so cool. Michael B. Jordan does an amazing job as Killmonger. He is absolutely the star of the show here. I really like the sort of the culture clash between the American black guy versus the like sort of traditional tribal African black guy, where they, you know, where like that kind of thing clashes. And I love the juxtaposition, because like when Killmonger becomes Black Panther, or like ascends the throne or whatever, and he starts giving these orders that are sort of antithetical to what the the Wakandan people like have stood for like all these times, and they kind of resist him on it. And then he's like, "Yo, when I give you an order, I mean that shit." Like, I love that he talks like that in their presence. I think that I like the contrast there. It's really cool. But so Killmonger's the best part of Black Panther for sure. And really, there's not much more to say about that because I don't think anything else really about it is that remarkable. And like, it's funny that they wanted to encapsulate like everything about African culture, like all the different African cultures, like melted into a melting pot called Wakanda. So they even have like those fucking dinner plate lip guys that have the giant freaking like catch rainwater type of lips. And I'm still just like, why is that a thing, man? Why do like, it's okay to think that that's weird. Or that I don't think they did this thing, but some of the African tribes, like, they have their women wear these neck rings that make their necks, like, super fucking long. I don't think they show that in Black Panther, but, like, that's another thing that's like, can we just agree that it's fine for us to think that that's fucking stupid? You guys trying to be giraffes out here? But anyway, I think Black Panther is a B tier. Heavily carried by Killmonger. Then we have Spider-Man Homecoming, the first Tom Holland Spider-Man. Spider-Man's had so many actors play him. And of the live-action ones, I would say that Tom Holland is probably, like, maybe the second best. I don't know. I don't remember if I like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man more than Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I know Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man makes no sense. Spider-Man Homecoming is good. Decently good. Vulture, Michael Keaton, Vulture is the villain, pretty good. I think that it's probably, like, a B-tier movie, I would say. Oh, next up, dude, is The Punisher. Oh, guess where this is going? Guess where this is going? Boom, right there. The Punisher. The one and only, dude. The Punisher is so good. It's so cool. Let me take a little sip of my coffee real quick. Hold on. The Punisher is so good, dude. Dude, Frank Castle does nothing but get the fucking shit kicked out of him, like, every single fight that he's in. But he perseveres. It's like I was talking about with like Daredevil and stuff, but like it's really the case with Punisher. This dude, watch The Punisher, there's more scenes than not where he has so much like makeup and stuff on his face because they have to simulate like the bruises, the beatings, the bloody scratches that he gets on like every 5 minutes he's getting his face kicked in. But he's dishing it out twice as much as he's taking it, and it's so good, man. I love a hero that isn't afraid to just say, fucking kill that guy. That guy who's been a real problem, a real thorn in people's side for decades, how about I just go pop him, okay? I'm gonna go pop this guy, boom, problem solved. We need to start popping more people. Like, Marvel, it's weird because DC is, like, the grittier thing, but Marvel is generally more okay with villains dying. Like, they won't go out of their way to save them. But the Punisher is so refreshing to just watch him go in guns blazing. Bullet in your head, 2 bullets in your head, 5 bullets in this guy's head. We really need more of that, man. I'm really glad that I think he's gonna be in the Daredevil Born Again thing. We need to see more Punisher. It has to be also said that this show would not be near as good if anybody other than Jon Bernthal was the Punisher. He's one of the best actors around, and he does such a magnificent job, dude. It's so good. Oh, I got nothing but nice things to say about the Punisher. Alright, next we have Doctor Strange. First Doctor Strange movie is very good. I think they nail it. They nail everything about the Doctor Strange stuff. I didn't know that he is it was kind of jarring because, like, he has an American accent and he plays a doctor that's like an asshole, but he's the best in his field. And I was like, this is Dr. House. This is Hugh Laurie as Dr. House, who becomes a freaking mystical wizard. It would have been funny if they just had Hugh Laurie play Doctor Strange. I think that would have been sick. I do think that Benedict Cumberbatch brings like a certain elegance to it that probably Hugh Laurie wouldn't have done. But honestly, I would still pay to see his interpretation of it. But anyway, I would probably put that in A tier. We got another A tier banger, Doctor Strange. Alright, we got Thor Ragnarok coming in next, the third Thor. This is the one where they're up against Hela, and then he's got to fight. Yeah, he gets captured and brought to this is the one that Jeff Goldblum is in. I don't think Jeff Goldblum is great in this. Jeff Goldblum's kind of annoying. I'm starting to come around to the fact that he's kind of annoying as an actor. Hela is very cool. The whole, like, Coliseum like it feels like a distraction because it really is. Like it's there to pad time. The fact that he gets kidnapped and thrown into the Coliseum with the Hulk. Yeah, I would maybe put like the Thor and Loki team up is worth watching this movie for. It's very nice seeing them actually kind of work together and sort of a little bit like rehabilitate Loki's personality to not be oh so evil all the time, like to not always be a traitorous backstabber. But I think content-wise, Thor Ragnarok's just kind of okay. Then we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is the I'm struggling here. This is the one where Lawrence Fishburne's in it. Yeah, the stakes never really felt too high. That's the thing about Ant-Man movies. The stakes never feel like they're too high because it's by definition everything is taking place on such a minuscule scale that it's like whatever happens in this movie, like I could step on it with my shoe and not feel it, you know? See, I think this movie is kind of basically inconsequential. The whole thing of it is just to bring the dude's wife back from the miniature brink. It turns out that that's all set up to then do the next Ant-Man movie, which is so bad that it kind of retroactively makes all this feel like a waste of time as well. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably like a D-tier movie as well. Next up we have Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. I mean, both of these movies are A tier. I'm just gonna judge them because they're the same. You're supposed to watch them back to back, really. Like you weren't able to when it first came out, obviously, but watching them back to back feels very like good when I did it. You know, obviously they bring like every hero who has ever been a hero for like the last battle at Avengers Endgame. Very cool. Infinity War, you got the whole stuff with the Time Stone. Or Endgame, you have this stuff with the Time Stone, and then Infinity War, you have all this stuff with they tried like this Last Stand, and then it seems like everyone's, and then you had the blip, right? They did the blip at the end of Infinity War. That was like that's the most iconic moment in the entire franchise for sure. The fact that it sort of gets retconned, it's not really retconned because like they're constantly still feeling the after effects of the blip because the blip happened. But just the fact that they were able to get everybody back sort of undoes the blip, but it doesn't really because the residual consequences are still there. So I kind of don't agree with the fact that the Time Stone like undoes the sacrifice of everybody in Infinity War. But I understand that it does kind of. Like, you'll never feel about Avengers Infinity War again the way that you felt initially, not knowing what they were going to do next. Now that you know what they're going to do next, it can't hit the same. I mean, you'll probably still cry when you see Spider-Man start, dust him off and out of existence. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. That moment, oh, that's a hitter. That one gets me. I don't even like Spider-Man that much, but that gets me. But yeah, these cultural touchstones, these two things are. These should be, these two together should be in like the National Film Registry or whatever. I just heard that they added The Social Network to that. And some other movie, Spy Kids, I think, got added to that. Both these Avengers movies need to get in there. Those were such a gigantic part of our culture at one point. Next up, we have Loki. On one hand, it's like, I kind of don't care. On the other hand, sort of, part of my problem with Loki is that I hate Kang the Conqueror. I think I just don't like him. Or any of his variants, or the fact that they were, like, trying to go that way with it. Which I don't think they're even doing now, because Jonathan Majors got domestically whatever, like had some legal trouble. So they fired him from stuff, I think. But I was not a Kang the Conqueror fan anyway, and now that I've seen everything that he has been in, like Quantumania and this, like, I'm totally fine with him just dusting that villain, like putting him back on the shelf. I don't think you can beat Thanos. It's fun to see Loki as a protagonist, it's fun to see him, like, do stuff and kind of be all, he's like this wily, like, childish, like, he's like a tsundere, basically. It's like, oh, I'm better than you, and, like, I don't want you to know that I actually appreciate our time together. But it's really cool at the end of Season 2 that he fixes the timeline by basically becoming the World Tree, like Yggdrasil. Like, the fact that they loop that back in to the Norse mythology that he comes from to sort of make his myth true, and wow, that's like, actually, that's so powerful. Oh, wow. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, god dang. Like, it was cool when I saw it, but now I'm seeing the real symbolism associated with it. Oh, damn. That is... Okay, because of that, I'll put it in B tier, because I was going to do C. Then we have What If. I didn't see What If. I'll be 100% honest. This is the other thing of the two things here that I have not seen, and that's because What If is literally just like, what if Thor's hammer was a sword instead? Like, bullshit. Like, just bullshit. And I couldn't imagine any of this being canon because it's literally like the whole concept is just fan fiction. I didn't watch that because I thought it would be pointless. Like, I don't like engaging in those kinds of hypotheticals. I think what if Scarlet Witch was actually a dude? Like, I don't care. I don't care. What if Captain America was Captain Britain? Shut up. Nobody cares. Like, in hindsight, I wonder if this is, like, if this Peggy Carter Captain Britain bullshit. Obviously, this is related to the, in the Multiverse of Madness movie when they show that alternate universe where she's actually in there as a live action thing. But the other thing is, like, this is animated, so I don't want to watch that. Like, I like animated comic book things, but not in the context of, like, almost entirely live action MCU that I'm, like, I don't want a couple of them to randomly be animated. I want everything to be the same type of thing. Then we have WandaVision. Now, this is a risk that deserves to be rewarded. The fact that every episode is like another 10 years later in the throwback to TV sitcoms. Like, you've got the Leave It to Beaver era, you've got the other, I don't know, other eras. You got the Full House era, the Office era. Like, it's very cool what this show did. There's not really much more to say about it. Wanda is grieving over Vision, and it basically just broke her into this, like, it was a hero, now is, like, kind of turning insane a little bit, but for understandable reasons, and then later on you get to, like, Multiverse of Madness, she's a full-fledged villain, and then at the end of that, she, like, her arc has been pretty sweeping. But I think it's time for her to come back and be like a good guy again, in my estimation. Or maybe, you know what they should do? It's time for her to come back, and then this is when they need to, and because what they've done with Deadpool and Wolverine, I feel like I can see the vision right now. The Scarlet Witch is presumed dead at the end of Multiverse of Madness, and that's also the same movie where they first introduce an X-Man character to the universe in the form of Professor Charles Xavier. In that other timeline. So then at the end of that, she's presumed dead, and then in the meantime, they go do Deadpool and Wolverine, and they connect Logan and, like, the other Wolverine and other X-Men to the MCU, which brings the X-Men back into the picture, and so then what they need to do is they bring Scarlet Witch back and have her hunt the X-Men. Because I guess she does that. Or, like, they bring her back and then establish her as Magneto's daughter, like she's supposed to be. And then they could merge these two properties together, like, going forward. They could start making more X-Men stuff and have it connected to the Avengers universe. I'm not super well-versed on the, like, comic book lore. I only know that Magneto is Scarlet Witch's dad because of Marvel Rivals. If they're on the same team, he's like, "Daughter, you make me proud." But yeah, I think they should use Scarlet Witch as connective tissue to bring the X-Men into the Avengers fold. I think I can see the MCU going in that direction, and I could see that being a way to sustain it. Oh yeah, but WandaVision, I would give it a B tier. I like the risks that it took. It's fine to, you have to be willing to put up with it, basically. Like, if you're just here to watch spectacles and showdowns, that's why you watch Marvel stuff, like, you're not gonna like WandaVision. But you have to have some respect for the mediums that they are employing and referencing. Alright, then we have Shang-Chi. Also very good choreography, similar to Iron Fist, but probably better, honestly. Very good fight choreography. The story is kind of bollocks, at least at the end. Once they get to the village, I'm like, I don't love this anymore. It's just, it feels so rote, you know, and they have to fight the dragon and the dude and and Aquafina shoots a masterfully placed arrow after practicing archery for an hour to save the day. Like, it's stupid. Like, it goes from Shang-Chi to Raya and the Last Dragon is basically how it feels like. Like, it starts feeling like a Disney movie as opposed to a Marvel. Disney owns Marvel, I know, but, like, you know what it, like, There's Marvel, and then there's Disney, and then when Disney starts bleeding into Marvel, that's what it's like. Ugh. But I do like the first. Yeah, it's the difference between the first half and the second half. I think the first half of Shang-Chi is really good. Second half is. I give that a C tier. All right, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I actually did not rewatch this show because I thought that I had seen it recently enough. But I do feel like there's some things that I probably forgot. I remember the main conflict with the USA agent guy, like the guy who they first try to have be Captain America, but he's a douchebag. And then there's this whole thing about like, I don't know, this whole show just feels like a lesson in, like, they're trying to teach a lesson in race relations to the audience. Because that whole thing of like black people chiding the Falcon for even wanting to be Captain America in the first place, and then like the white side of it, where are white people gonna accept a black Captain America? Like, it's so. I don't want to deal with shit like that in a Marvel stuff. Like, my take on it is just like, if he's good at being Captain America, go for it. And I guess we'll really figure that out when in the next movie, with the one where there's the Red Hulk that they're coming out with. That will be the if anyone wants to argue about this, that movie will be the deciding factor of is this dude worthy of the mantle? When I watched it, I didn't remember it being like particularly special, so I would give that a C. And we have Spider-Man Far From Home. Thank God for the picture art. The Spider-Man movies are so like interchangeably titled. Like, this is Homecoming, this is Far From Home, this is No Way Home. And it's like, how would you ever know? Homecoming at least refers to the homecoming dance, so you could differentiate that one, but what the hell is the difference in title from Far From Home and No Way Home? If there's No Way Home, you're also probably far from home. I don't know, it's dumb titles, dumb subtitles. But this movie is actually so good. I love Jake Gyllenhaal in this. Mysterio is played masterfully. The whole thing is done beautifully. Him being like this staged hero is like a whole production fueled by researchers who have been disenfranchised by like Iron Man or wherever the other people that they worked for like cast aside, and they want to get their revenge. It's so cool, dude. This is honestly an A-tier movie as well. You could make a case to me that this is S tier, and I'll revisit just the things that I want to revisit. Let me put at the very top of A tier, and we'll see if they get pushed to S. All right, Eternals, very bad. This is probably the first F tier. This movie didn't need to exist. It's like the very first heroes, yeah, but the only thing that's cool about this movie is Arishem. Arishem is the only cool thing about this movie. The visuals associated with when they put that dude on screen are awesome. And the other thing that's cool is that the one lady, I forget her name, the one who does super speed, they do super speed in this movie really well, and that's worth mentioning because a lot of people talk about that, and it's worth mentioning because it means that it can be done, and you should look to this movie for the speedster fight choreography and like how it looks and stuff as an example of what should be done in these other things where it looks like garbage. I mean, Eternals basically only existed to give Kumail Nanjiani a reason to get 500 pounds of muscle put on him. That dude is jacked now. I don't know if he still is, but it'd be funny if he's not jacked anymore and it was just like a passing phase. Like, he didn't even need to get jacked for the movie, because like his character isn't even like a strong man or anything. Like, whatever lasers he does, or I don't even remember what his powers are, doesn't he just like shoot rings at people? Well, you didn't need to be jacked for that. You could have just been the regular guy. I'm trying to think of specifics of why it's bad, and really all I can say is that just the entire overarching thing feels dumb, irrelevant, and like it was so bad that they like scrapped the upcoming sequel, didn't they? Weren't they like they were gonna do, because at the final credit scenes they got Harry Styles coming in. They're like, I've been looking for you. He's not wearing a dress, but it's still Harry Styles. Like, it sort of exists to introduce Blade, I guess, if they're actually doing Blade. And then you got Barry Coogan in the show cheating on Sabrina Carpenter the whole movie. It's great. But yeah, that movie sucks. Then we have Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, No Way Home is the one where they bring all the Spider-Men together. And that's so good, dude. I need like a half hour more of all the dialogue that these three have when they're together. It's so good. But really, it's just the novelty of being able to bring all the characters from like the Raimi Spider-Man universe back here, and getting Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Like, they got the Green Goblin, they got Willem Dafoe for that, they got Doc Ock, they got Electro, Jamie Foxx. They got like everybody to come back and do this, and it's such an accomplishment. Like, that's really what this movie is. It's an accomplishment. Next up, we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's just, I don't know, something about it. It just felt like less polished. It just, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I like Scarlet Witch as the villain in this. I don't like America Chavez as a character, really. I feel like Scarlet Witch should have killed her. I don't know, I would probably put this... Like, I still enjoyed it a bit. You know, more than these two, for sure. But I would put that in C tier, I guess. Alright, then we have Hawkeye. TV show Hawkeye. You got these one-seasoner things that don't really get to make much of an impact, so you kind of have to judge them on a smaller scale. But I think Hawkeye is one of the better ones. I like Kate Bishop. I think she's a good legacy character, or whatever they call whoever's like gonna get the mantle passed down to them eventually. I think Kate Bishop is good for that. The plot is overall is kind of whatever, but I also do like that Black Widow's sister, what's her name, Yelena or something, like Yellow Jet something. But she comes back into it because I like her as a character. And then also the part where they fight Echo, I think that is also pretty cool. So there's a little bit of, there's enough crossover in this to make it feel worthwhile. They're lesser cameos, but they're still good, like like Wilson Fisk and all that. But yeah, I think Hawkeye is C tier. It's not B. I'd like it to be B, but it's not B tier really. All right, next up we have Moon Knight. Moon Knight was just kind of tiresome. The last third of the show is pretty good. There's so much wind up to get there though. And it's really just kind of boring, like from the jump, and it doesn't stop being boring until like the last 2 episodes. But even beyond that, like I hate, Oscar Isaac does a great job. He's also a tremendous actor, no question about that. But just like the DID thing again, like I don't like it. It's so obnoxious because it's always in the way. It's never like, oh, this is a fun little thing that just sometimes is fun. No, it's always like, oh, the fact that this person has DID is always like the main thing wrong with them. And that is dragging the story to a fucking halt. Yeah, I would give Moon Knight C tier, I guess. Alright, then we have Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This is one of the only Marvel movies that I really don't have anything good to say about. I think Wakanda Forever is like, because first of all, yes, Chadwick Boseman tragically passed of cancer, and as such, they were not able to use him in the movie. So the first part of it is like this nice, loving funeral ode to the guy, and then they even have like the Marvel screen, where it's usually like Marvel Studios, and it shows like all the scenes from all the different Marvel stuff, like how they do before the introduction to every movie or show. And then they have it to where it's all Black Panther stuff as a tribute to him. That's cool. That said, they should have recast Black Panther, just like they would do if it was literally any other character. They recasted the fucking Hulk, for God's sake. They recasted War Machine. I'm pretty sure they recasted Kate Bishop, because I watched the post-credit scene of Miss Marvel, or maybe it's The Marvels. Yeah, it was the post-credit scene of The Marvels, and they show Miss Marvel like breaking into Kate Bishop's house to interview her, and that chick does not look like Haley Steinfeld. Like, it doesn't look like the same woman. There's something about her face that's just different. Maybe it still is her, I don't know, but it felt like it was like a stand-in or something. No, seriously, what was it? What did I just put? Wakanda Forever, that's right, okay. So recast Chadwick Boseman. Alright? They even, at the end of Wakanda Forever, they're even like, oh, he had a son in secret whose name is also T'Challa. Okay, cool, make him the next Black Panther. And then you can just pretend that was the original Black Panther. Like, I don't know why he dies, especially because Black Panther is like a mantle that's passed down regardless. I don't know, like, I don't really like that it was passed down to Shuri. I feel like she loses some of her identity by turning into Black Panther, because she's like the tech gal who has like the pulse cannons and stuff, and then she puts on the Black Panther suit, and now she's just Black Panther 2.0. I feel like that's derivative. Like, that takes away from her, whereas they should have just had another dude. Like, they should have done... Clearly his death wasn't planned, because he died IRL. And as a result of that, they had a different way that they were going to go with the movie, provided he was still alive. So they should have just kept doing that and recasted him. Black Panther is not so special of a character, especially because the character itself is like... You don't even see him in, like, he's wearing a mask. I don't know, I think they could have gotten... And I don't think that Black Panther is a role that, like... Oh, only Chadwick Boseman could have done this. There's tons of people who could be Black Panther, as evidenced by the fact that there were other people who have been Black Panther, like his dad in the first movie, and stuff like that, and like Shuri now, even though I don't... And fucking Killmonger was Black Panther, and he was a good Black Panther. But yeah, recast Black Panther, do what you were gonna do. The next thing that they do with the Black Panther stuff better be sped forward time-wise, like 15 years or something, for new T'Challa to be of age to be doing stuff, I guess. But I didn't like the plot of this movie at all. I don't like Namor. I don't know if he's cool in the comics, but he was like super lame in this movie. I hate his outfit. I hate everything about him. And then they introduce like the new Iron Man here too, right? Like that black 16-year-old chick. I forget what her name is. It's like, her name's Riri. Like, that's a slur. Like, shut up, you Riri. Like, that's something people would call me in middle school. I don't like it. I didn't like pretty much anything about it. So no, big F tier to Black Panther, Wakanda forever. How about Wakanda never again? Oh man. Okay, next up we have Echo. I watched Echo before I decided to undertake this MCU journey, so I watched it before I went back and watched Daredevil and like everything in that universe that she's tied to. Looking back on it now with the new information that I have, having watched all this stuff that led up to like Wilson Fisk being related to her and why that means something, I think Echo is just like very pointless. I don't like another thing I don't like that she makes no effort to like learn to read lips or anything, or to ever communicate with anyone who's not also deaf, yet she expects everyone else to bend over backwards to learn sign language for her. Like, it's a two-way street, lady. How about you just get a fucking hearing aid and turn it on? It's cool honestly, Wilson Fisk has been nothing but nice to her, other than having her father killed. It's a quibble, slight quibble. But, like, he gave her a device that lets her, like, see people, like, it reads lips for her, basically, and, like, projects the words onto her vision cone. That's so cool. That should be a real invention. Someone should make that happen. This show only has, like, 5 episodes in it. I thought, were they ever gonna finish this? Because it feels unfinished when you watch it. Like, it doesn't end. She barely even figures out what her powers even are, and she only uses, like, 1 or 2 of the multitude of possibilities that she even has. Like, this feels like such an incomplete origin story. It's still, like, kind of enjoyable to watch, but it feels so unrealized. Like, they can do cool stuff with the ancestral, like, feel the power of your ancestors manifest through your body into these new abilities. They needed to do, like, 2 more episodes of that show to show that was actually happening and what that was leading to. Because all that happens at the end is, like, she stops a parade from getting blown up, but then Wilson Fisk gets away and nothing matters that she did, and it's like, you don't go anywhere. I don't know, it was more enjoyable to watch than these two, though. I guess I'll put Echo in D tier. Alright, next up is She-Hulk. Oh boy. Actually, disclaimer, I don't hate this as much as other people do. I can see where there could have been potential. Now, the final episode absolutely throws any goodwill you might have toward it into the fucking dumpster, because it is so self-absorbed and grating and stupid, and it's so preposterously pretentious that it's insane. Like, the fourth wall breaks are, like, it's beyond what Deadpool would do somehow. and it's just so unfunny and lame and stupid and egregious. But barring all that for a second, I don't like that she does the Deadpool thing, because the difference between her and Deadpool is that Deadpool is generally better at it. The first couple episodes of She-Hulk are good. You can see the potential of it. She's kind of funny. She has a good personality for this kind of thing. And then it just turns into... It's like half of the show is just about the fact that they couldn't make the show better. Like, it's her complaining about her show not doing stuff that she wants her show to do, like being all meta and shit. And I don't like that. It's so like, you have to earn that. You have to earn a reputation to where the audience is going to come in and be on your side for those moments. If the audience isn't as invested in your IP as you are, like, it just comes across as annoying. So, like, Deadpool can do it because people love Deadpool. People are invested in Deadpool. Nobody's invested in She-Hulk. But to me, it is kind of cool. Like, despite what I said about Daredevil coming in here and, like, cheapening himself for it, I do like I like the idea of Daredevil and She-Hulk as a couple, because they're both lawyers, so, like, that's cute. It is still kind of gross. I don't know, she embodies that sort of like girl boss attitude where it's like, oh, you're a man and you're much more experienced at this thing than I am. I'm still gonna, like, criticize and demean you at every opportunity because I think I'm better than you for literally no reason. Like, she does that all the time. She does that to Bruce Banner Hulk, Mark Ruffalo Hulk, and, like, she's like, I know more about being the Hulk than you. Like, is essentially the thing. It's like, what do you understand about being angry? I'm a woman. I have to deal with anger all the time. And it's like, it's like, dude, shut up. You're so ignorant. Like, it's insane. You're talking to the worst people on earth you could be talking to about these subjects. She does that with Hulk, and then she does it with Daredevil when they're, like, trying to assault this facility. Daredevil wants to do it all, like, calculated and stealthy and meticulous and stuff, and She-Hulk's just shitting on him, like, what are you doing this for? Like, why are you wasting so much time? Let's just go in there. Let's go blast them. Bam, 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 bam. Like, Daredevil has been doing this for years, lady. You don't know shit. Respect your experiential elders, for God's sake. I don't like that. I don't like that cocky kind of attitude. And if it was a man, I wouldn't like it then either. It's just more expected if you're a dude. Oh my god, dude. It's the end. Oh yeah, because we were going to talk about the ending. The ending is, oh my god. So, like, basically, like, the show vilifies the type of, like, basically my thoughts, or not really my thoughts, but, like, the thoughts of, like, the general, like, sort of a straw man version of what people online would say about somebody like She-Hulk. Like, oh, she's a woman, she sucks, why does she get to be a hero? She doesn't deserve her powers, she's a lady. Like, things that they think that people are saying becomes sort of like the online villain of the show, and then people who belong to these sort of chat groups, and there's no question that that sort of thing does exist, but it's very small. Like, that sort of extreme, like, blatant extremism is very small. Most people are just complaining about the, like they have more nuanced takes on things. So that is part of the enemy thing that's going on. And then the people who are after She-Hulk to try and steal her blood so they can turn into Hulks, like, they're in that, so that they end up doing that, and the guy who's, like, the leader of the site turns into a Hulk. And then She-Hulk stops the show and basically just, like, admonishes and chastises the production company or the writers and stuff. Like, are we really doing this? Are we really doing this contrived plot again? You know what? I want to get in to see Kevin Feige, or Feige, or however you pronounce his name. The guy who executive produces all the Marvel stuff. Let me see Kevin. And then the writers are like, nobody sees Kevin. He's... and then they just do this whole, like, it's the most self-aggrandizing bullshit I've ever seen. They do this whole thing where it's like, oh, I get to peek behind the curtain at the Wizard of Oz, Kevin Feige. And he's, like, a robot AI that makes decisions, or, like, the fact he portrays himself as, like, this all-powerful robot thing. It's, oh, like, that's so stupid. It's so dumb, dude. Like, the whole, is this meta shit, and then they do this whole thing where it's like She-Hulk's on Netflix, and she's, like, jumping through Netflix videos, like, trying to pierce the veil. It's so dumb. This show's not on Netflix. You're on Disney Plus. Don't you know who owns you? But that said, it's not F tier. It's still D, because it had potential. I feel like if they redid... I heard that they cut She-Hulk out of Deadpool and Wolverine. Great idea. Although, if you could have had her go in there and, like, actually say some funny stuff, that would have been good. If you had some of her, like, episode 1 or 2 dialogue, That would have been good. But yeah, but if here's what I know for a fact would have been the case. If she was in Deadpool, she would have just been talking to Ryan Reynolds like, I'm better at this whole fourth wall breaking thing than you are. What do you know about it? I've been doing this for 2 seconds. Maybe it's good she wasn't in there. Alright, next we have Miss Marvel. I feel like this show exists first and foremost to bring, like, Muslim culture to the big screen. Like, that's really, well, not the big screen because it's a TV show, but still, like, to the Marvel thing, like, to audiences. Like, in much the same way that Black Panther is about celebrating and sort of melding all these different African cultures together. Like, Miss Marvel is so aggressively Muslim. Like, they're whole hog. Like, a third of the show takes place in a mosque. They're doing all the prayer stuff. They're showing basically every single part of Muslim culture that they can possibly fit into there. And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's what it feels like the main goal was to do, based on how much of it is in there. And then they even got like the token white guy participating in like the Muslim wedding. Like, hey, learn this dance. Hey, you know Urdu, right? Parts of it. And the white guy's like, yeah, I do. And he's like saying Arabic greetings and shit. And then their mom's always like, Kamala, what are you doing, beta? Because I guess beta is like Islam for love or child or darling or dear or whatever. But yeah, like that aspect of it is interesting because it does kind of expand your cultural footprint in terms of what you know. One thing I do have a problem with though is that like Kamala, first of all, she's a likable character. She's like shy but funny but soft-spoken but like wacky but goofy, but like she embodies like this whole thing, and it's more apparent in the Marvels. Like her personality is a little more like the way she delivers some of her lines is very unique and funny. Like she's a cute character, like that's what you would say. But one problem I have is that like the actress is not what anyone would call fit in terms of body type, which again I'm just pointing out factual to make a point. But then after she gets her powers and she's still like the same shape, she's out here doing all these like athletic maneuvers and like jumping off walls. Like she's basically Hellcat from season 3 of Jessica Jones. And it's like, where is this coming from? Like, how do you look like that and you're doing that? Like, this does not compute. Especially because her powers, like, they don't affect her body. I mean, they do, but not in that way. Like, they allow her to take light and harden it and shape it. So, like, and I didn't even know that part. Like, when I played, my first experience with this character was playing Marvel's Avengers back in, like, 2016 or whatever that game came out. And that had Miss Marvel in it. I thought she was just, like, Mr. Fantastic, where she was just stretchy. Because, like, they only ever showed like her arms getting big and like doing stuff like that. I didn't know she was doing all this light manipulation, like making platforms to jump on and stuff. But yeah, like that's a quibble. That's not something that's going to prevent you from enjoying the show if you want to enjoy the show. It's just something you might notice. Like some of the things I'm talking about, like I just noticed them, okay? They're not ruining anything for me. I want to point out something that I noticed and have other people see if they noticed it as well. But I think the show in general it's okay. I would give it a C tier. There's nothing like terribly wrong with it, really. Alright, next we have Thor Love and Thunder. Dude, this is the perfect example of a movie that's good when you don't have bitches in your ear telling you it's bad. I think Thor Love and Thunder is that movie for me. Like, I remember watching it and enjoying it the first time I watched it, and then upon this rewatch that I did for this video, I enjoyed it just as much, if not more, and that was after I had heard that a lot of the general public dislikes how, like, quippy and unserious the movie is. I think this is good. Like, I know what I said about preferring old Thor, who was more culturally unaware of Earth customs, but, like, this also works for me. Specifically, Christian Bale as the villain is a really good villain, probably the best Thor villain for sure. And then you combine that with the segment where they have like all the kids, he like imbues all of their toys and weapons with the same thing that Odin imbued his hammer with like who wields this shall have the powers of the mighty Thor for as long as they are in the battle or whatever. And then all the kids turn into like these battle-hardened soldiers and they're like swinging plushies around and killing zombies. Like that shit made me cry almost. Not because it's like sad, but like I cry when I think things are really good or really well thought out or impactful. So like if I see a really good fight scene, I'll start to tear up. And so that happened during that part. And I hate kids. I don't like children. But I thought that part was so cool. So like the movie just has stuff like that. It's very nice. It's very sad that Jane has cancer. I don't remember how that did she die at the end of this? I don't remember that part. I feel like she had to have, right? No more Jane Foster. She gets to be the mighty Thor for like 30 minutes and then go back to having stage 4 leukemia. But yeah, like I like it. I think it's good. Probably A tier, like probably bottom of A tier. All right, then we have Werewolf by Night. This is so. Time is gonna have to tell whether this was even worth the existence of being or not. Like Elsa Bloodstone is a cool idea of a character. I like her card in Marvel Snap. I was kind of hoping she would like actually do something in this movie or in this show, movie, one-off hour special, whatever it is. But she literally does nothing. It's not even like it's about her, but it's not. It's about like the freaking werewolf guy who wants to befriend the monster that everyone's hunting so he can help it escape. And then Elsa's just along for the ride. And then she does literally nothing in the whole thing. It's pointless. Like, it's a bad introduction for her character if she is going to actually be somewhere, be something later on. As maybe like a replacement for Black Widow, or to fit like a similar niche in that sense. It is cool the way that they had like an in-color version of this. I chose not to watch it because I wanted to watch the original, and I also had a hunch that it was going to do like that Wizard of Oz Technicolor thing where like it turns into color, and it did in fact do that, and it even referenced Wizard of Oz while I was doing it. So I thought that was cool. But this was just like a perfectly like nothing thing to watch. Kinda cool-ish. Like, it was kind of bloody, which I liked. Like, it was a little more visceral than some of the other things. But yeah, that's just like a C. And I don't even know who this character's supposed to be, like the wolf guy. Is that Wolfsbane? Like, is that who Wolfsbane is? There's a lot of Marvel characters that I only know from their Marvel Snap cards, so I'm not too well-versed on some of the lore, on some of the people who haven't been long in the MCU. Alright, next we have the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It might seem weird that I watched this, but didn't watch I Am Groot or What If my gripe was going to be like, oh, how important can this possibly be? But I actually like this. I thought that this was very cute. It's kind of self-aggrandizing, the whole like Kevin Bacon thing. Like, this is a vanity project for Kevin Bacon, no question. This dude signed on to be in a show that blows non-stop smoke up his ass the entire thing. Because the plot is like, Drax and Mantis want to kidnap Kevin Bacon to give to Star-Lord for Christmas, because he always talks about what a hero Kevin Bacon is. And then they think that he's like real, all the stuff he did, and then they're like, you're an actor? Ew, actors are awful. Oh, I hate actors. And it's like, oh my god, that's so funny, because like the people saying that are actors. We're so self-aware. Like, I don't like that at all. But I thought that some of the stuff that they did in this movie was like really cute and funny. So the ending Christmas thing was nice. And also the Christmas song that they opened this with, like a few minutes into it, the one where the guy's like, oh, I heard some things about Christmas and it sounds weird, but I wrote a song about it. That's a really good song. Like, that should be a Christmas song that is on the radio. But yeah, I would give this like a C tier probably. Then we have Quantumania. That's a straight F tier. Quantumania, they go down. They recasted Paul Rudd's daughter. Another recast. The plot is just garbage. And then at the end, like, they have MODOK, the guy who played the Yellow Jacket in the first movie. He comes back as a giant face as the robot MODOK, and he looks so fucking stupid. You gotta Google image search MODOK if you haven't seen him in Ant-Man Quantumania. It's ridiculous. And then not only is he ridiculous physically, but like, after he's been trying to kill them for 45 minutes, he has like this random midlife identity crisis of like he gets knocked over once and he's like, oh my god, I don't know what to do anymore, like, tell me what I should do. And he's talking to Paul Rudd's daughter, like Ant-Man's daughter, like, what should I do? Can I redeem myself? And then she's like, hey, just don't be a dick. And then he's just like, okay, and then he's on their side now. Like, it's the dumbest switch of all time. And then this is the other movie that Kang the Conqueror is in, and he's fine in this movie, but like, I just don't like him as a villain, man. So yeah, Quantumania is a big F tier. Oh, now we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Put my baby in S tier. This is the best Marvel media that exists in the entire... It's the best thing. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the best Marvel thing that's ever happened. It's very funny. It's very action-oriented and good, and like has good plot and stuff. And it's very sad and moving and heartfelt as well, like with everything to do with rescuing Rocket and all the stuff about his origin story. Oh, it's so well done, dude. It's... oh, man. Oh, it's so good. It has a fight scene that made me cry. It has like 2 different Rocket-related things of the origin that made me cry. It's so good. And it's so funny. It had so many jokes that made me laugh out loud. And I'm like very exposed to comedy, so like I've heard it all, essentially. Very good, amazing thing. I can't believe that I had not seen this prior to me doing this whole thing. So like I can't believe that I didn't watch that when it came out. I absolutely should have. That's a big S tier. Then we have Secret Invasion. Hot take, and this is kind of part of the problem with Captain Marvel as well. I don't give a flying fuck about the Skrulls, dude. I don't care for the Skrulls as a plot device. I think they should all just disappear. I just don't like it, dude. It's annoying and irrelevant to me. I don't like Skrull stuff. This show is like kind of intriguing still, especially with like finding out that Colonel Rhodes' War Machine like got replaced by a Skrull. Finding out like who's a Skrull and who's not a Skrull is kind of fun, but then it doesn't really end up mattering because at the end they just rescue everybody who was a Skrull or who got like imprisoned by the Skrulls, and then it's like what they did when they were a Skrull doesn't matter. Also, the show can't decide whether the guy's name is Talos or Talos. They call him both names several times. The best part though of Secret Invasion, I gotta make sure I mention this, is that I don't remember what her actress's name is, but she's amazing. The British woman who is also on The Crown, she was great on The Crown, and she was great in this movie on Netflix I saw called like Wicked Little Letters or something about letters. It was about like an old town in Britain that was someone was sending like really profanity-laced letters, and it was offending everyone's sensibilities. It became this whole thing. Anyway, that's a good movie. You should watch that. But that woman, that actress, is so good. And she's absolutely delightful in this show. So, like, that elevates it a little bit for me. I think that alone maybe I think she raises it to a C tier. The ending Skrull thing where they turn the people into the Super Skrulls and then they have the Super Skrull fight felt extremely cheap. The CGI for that fight was awful. Clearly the show didn't have that much of a budget, or maybe time, or whatever it was to, like, make that look good. But yeah, I don't like the Skrull stuff. Alright, then we have the Marvels. The team up of Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and lady whose name is never decided on. Like, throughout the entire movie, I still don't know what to call her. Her name's Monica Rambeau. She was the chick at the end of WandaVision who, like, went through the force field and got powers out of it, I guess. So she got the ability to phase through solid matter, and so she can turn, like, transparent and, like, shoot blasts at people. But so they never even name her, so I don't even know what to call her. I don't know what character she's supposed to be. Is she Spectrum? Because I know the Marvel Snap card Spectrum, and that seems like that kind of aligns with what her powers are. But they even mentioned the name Spectrum in the movie as an option for her, and she's like, nah. And it's just like one of several names they throw out for her. This movie was ass. This movie is like, it's crazy the difference between... So this movie has like a sing-song arc to it, because like they go visit a world where people communicate through song, which is like, it's annoying as it sounds. And it's so... gay. Like, that's the only word I can think of to describe it. Like, Captain Marvel singing, and she's, like, apparently married to the prince in this world for tax purposes, or, like, whatever the thing is. But, like, they, like, dance and sing with each other, and it's so cringy, dude. But you compare that to Agatha All Along, which also has, like, a singing portion to it, because they have, like, the titular song about the Witch's Road that, like, is sort of the theme of the entire show. And that's done so well, and it's so cool. So it's not just the fact that it's singing that makes it cringe. It's like, it sucks. It's bad. The Marvels thing does. And then it has like the worst villain of all time. Just nothing Nothing stands out about her at all. She's basically just Ronan the Accuser, but with a different skin color. And it's, yeah, like she gets one of the bangles that Miss Marvel wears, and then she gets to, like, oh, she gets to redirect energy, which makes Captain Marvel not as good against her. And it's just, it's dumb. This movie is pretty bad. That's probably another F tier movie, to be honest. Oh, the one thing that I will say, and actually, okay, yeah, it's the one thing that puts this at a D tier. The part where they have all the, like, gooses, because Goose is amazing. I love Goose, the character, the cat. They have, like, Goose has kittens, and then all the kittens, like, eat all the crew members as a strategy to get them all off the ship, which is exploding, and they need to evacuate anyway. And they don't have room to, like, put them all in pods and stuff. So they have all the kittens eat people, and, like, that's a nice scene. I like, that's a cute scene. That's a cool one, that's a funny one. That's, like, the only good part of this movie. And then we have Deadpool and Wolverine. I watched this, like, a month ago. This is like the other side of the coin, where it's like, the cameos are just there to be there. It's just for the sake of itself. Like, the whole movie is just like, oh, look who that is. But then they don't offer anything to anything. You're just like, oh, but at least they were there. I think Deadpool 1 and 2 are better than this one. Like, both of them. For some reason, this is the only Deadpool that's a part of the MCU. And honestly, I don't even know why that is. The only reason I can think of that this movie interacts with the MCU at all is the fact that they go to the TVA. Yeah, I don't know, like, they have all the Deadpool variants show up, and it's like, oh, that's cool, but also, I don't think the jokes were as good in this show, or in this movie. Like, some of them were good. I think a real sleeper line is they go to the, what the fuck is that thing's name? It's like Azoth. Is it Azoth? The, like, thing that eats everything, and where the TVA sends all the Loki variants and shit, like all the things that don't belong. Azoth or Azaloth or something. Like, in that place, they go down there, and there's a palace made out of, like, an Ant-Man, like a giant Ant-Man carcass, and it shows, like, his skull in his helmet. And then Deadpool's like, oh wow, Paul Rudd finally aged. Like, that's a great joke. And I didn't even laugh that hard when I heard it, but, like, that's one of those jokes that you should just appreciate, even if it doesn't hit you. But yeah, I don't know, like, they had a bunch of random cameos that basically didn't mean anything. Like, you have Jennifer Garner as Elektra, which is not even the right Elektra in regard to, like, the MCU, because you have the other Elektra from the Daredevil universe that doesn't show up here. The one I did appreciate is Channing Tatum as Gambit, because I know that he really wanted to play that character. So, like, if you have the background information of, like, how long Channing Tatum has begged people to let him play Gambit in a movie, like, that is cool that he finally gets to do it. And then he's got, like, this French Louisiana accent that sounds so weird. I guess I would be more open to it if they were there to service good jokes, but they generally aren't. It's mostly just like, hey, look, do you recognize me? I'm here. Okay, bye. But yeah, I think Deadpool and Wolverine is, like, C tier. And then finally we have Agatha All Along. This, to me, is one of the biggest surprises. I expected to not like this due to all the stuff that they were like, oh, we made our show super gay, do you guys like that? Just because I thought it would be, like, overly preachy, or, like, HR is in the room when the dialogue is happening, like, stuff like that. I thought it would be overly sanitized. Not the case. It is extraordinarily gay. Not as gay as Jessica Jones, but very gay. Honestly, that's to its credit in some of these areas. Like, the whole, like, female coven, like, sort of lesy vibes going on, it works for this. I think I don't know, like, that, it makes sense to me. But, like, you have Agatha Harkness, you have Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza's reveal as Death is so cool. It's, like, so obvious, but I missed it. And then when she actually reveals herself to be Death, her costume looks fucking sick, dude. Like, the way they superimpose the skeleton over her face or whatever, oh, it's so good. The whole way that this show is structured, like, I thought I wouldn't give a shit about this because I didn't think it would be, like, important. But first of all, it is important because it's propping up, like, the return of the Scarlet Witch's son, Billy, who I think is supposed to be the Wiccan in the, like, as far as relating to lore comic book characters. And then I just thought, like, the twists and turns with what the Witch's Road even is, and, like, characters' motivations and stuff was so expertly woven. Like, this is a fantastic narrative. And then the characters do good stuff. It's very cool. The trials that they have to undergo are very cool. It's very, like, escape room. I like it. And then the stuff they do with Lilia's character, with the being the Oracle and like traveling through time and seeing time out of order, it's very well done. This show was great. I do want to say, small nitpick, when they, in like episode 6 or 7 or whichever one, where they show Billy's boyfriend, and they're like in the car telling them each other "I love you," and they're like the guy who's Billy's boyfriend, I hate his smile. I just want to point that out. Like, Billy will say something to him, and then he will do like one half of a Joker smile. Like, he'll do like this half grin that extends all the way fucking off his face and into the back seat of the car, and it's so distracting because I'm like, how's your mouth doing this? The other side of the mouth, it's like he has cerebral palsy. The other side of his mouth, or like having a stroke, is completely like unmoving, and then like Billy says something, and then you see this dude's mouth, the left side of it just go gadget extends like 20 feet in one direction, and this stupid grin that I hate. And then obviously they make out and it's hella gay, but but yeah, but the show itself, honestly, is like A tier. This is an A tier show. I was very surprised. Okay, so now we want to order him, dude. Let's start with S tier. Okay, let's start with, are we moving any of these things to S tier? Guardians of the Galaxy goes up top here, followed by The Punisher, followed by... I think we do want to just keep these two in S tier. And then you got Far From Home in A tier. I think these two do lead A tier. Iron Man. Agatha All Along I would put like very close up here. Love and Thunder can be at the bottom of A tier, that's fine. Daredevil's fine where it's at. Maybe Iron Man ahead of Luke Cage. Okay, now I think it's fine. So that's A tier. B tier, I would say the top of B tier should be maybe Spider-Man Homecoming. Do I like Hulk better than Thor? No, I don't think so. But yeah, I would say that that's fine. Maybe WandaVision ahead of Jessica Jones. That's cool. Okay, then C tier, we would, at the top of C tier, I would put... These are like all the same to me. Let's get Ant-Man sort of up there. Maybe Captain America the First Avenger should be at the top, so I kind of like that. Deadpool and Wolverine should probably be up here a bit. And then you put Iron Fist slightly ahead of Defenders. Let's do it like that, I guess. I guess that's fine. Maybe Werewolf belongs at the very bottom, actually. Then D tier, I would say the best part of D tier is probably Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then Echo. Honestly, She-Hulk is better than the Marvels. Oh, okay, Wakanda Forever should be at the top of F tier. Get there, dude. Okay, and then... Yeah, I think it's like that. I think that's what it is. I think this is my Marvel tier list. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, share, and subscribe and whatnot. And I will see you guys next time.